Order online at picassospizza.net.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Pay the Bills post-game show presented by Picasso's Pizza. The Buffalo Bills come back from double digits, scored 21 points in 5 minutes in the fourth quarter to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals 39-34. There's a lot that happened in this game. It is chaotic games of the NFL season so far, but the story of the game, and as I bring in Michael Partham joining us here as well, the story of this game, well, maybe Mike's not, there he is. It has to just be Josh Allen. Josh Allen was MVP level this entire game. We talked about it a couple times. We talked about it a lot in the past. The Josh Allen stat lines they put up on CBS when they show the rushing and passing yards and doing everything. We were on Fox, so we didn't get the same look. But Allen, 22 of 28, 251, 3 touchdowns, 9 rushes, 78 yards, including the back-breaking third down conversion on 3rd and 15, improbably at the end of the game to seal the deal. What's your reaction here after this game? And then we'll get to after you.
I said it to you. It was after the James Cook fumble. I said, don't take the ball out of Josh Allen's hand. He's your best player that you have in this game by far. All the touchdowns were coming from him and the tight ends, not the running backs. They're the ones who are fucking this game up. And then so what do they do on the next drive? James Cook doesn't touch the ball once. It's 2 nice passes from Josh to Shavers and then Knox, and that's a 45-yard touchdown run. He breaks off. What do they do on the next drive? It's the same thing. You just keep it in Josh's hands. That's all you got to do. He's the engine that keeps it going. James Cook wasn't it today. When they get down to 4th and goal, and they get James Cook 2 more chances, he doesn't fucking get in. And who scores touchdown? Josh Allen. They need to know when they need to just pull the trigger and just let Josh be Josh. And today they finally did.
Absolutely. Parthy, how are you feeling right now?
I'm not sure how to feel. This entire season has been like a bipolar roller coaster, and this game was like a microcosm of that. You had an entire first half where the Bills got essentially outplayed. Their defense was Swiss cheese until that last drive that they were able to. Well, they weren't able to do anything. They just let Burrow overthrow his receiver and let him make their own mistakes. And for next couple of Bengals drives, it seems like that's all they could do. Although they did control the ball in the third quarter very well, to the point of the Bengals only had like 5 offensive plays in the entire third quarter, which was of course capped by James Cook not quite, basically pulling an Ernest Biner, fumbling at the 1 essentially. And then you think it's all over, and then not one, but 2 back-to-back interceptions, and all of a sudden the Bills are not only back in the game, but in control of the game, to the point where they just had a prevent defense against the Bengals, and it didn't matter because they sealed out the game with Josh Allen running the ball, where he got a 40-yard touchdown just by his own legs just earlier. So it's just like Alex said, you put the ball in Josh Allen's hands where there's going to throw it or run for it, and he can make those plays. Even with it, well, now it seems like all he has is tight ends to throw to, but against the Bengals, of course, it was a big storyline coming in how much worse they were than the next worst team defending tight ends, and seeing how big of a game Dawson Knox of all people had. We barely heard anything from Dalton Kincaid. Maybe that was by design. Maybe they wanted to limit his snaps or how he was running his routes, but looks like Dawson Knox, at least for this game, didn't have any problem getting open and making plays. So the Bills are still in it. The Colts lost their quarterback and lost big time against the Jags. So the Bills improved the 6th seed. At least they're holding on to it for right now. They can get up to the 5th seed if who else is it? Who's playing on Monday night? I forgot. I said it in the text.
Chargers.
The Chargers.
Eagles.
Chargers playing the Eagles on Monday night. If the Chargers lose, the Bills could get up to 5th seed, at least for the time being. And they're within a couple of games in the Patriots, who they play next week. So everything's up for grabs. And who knows what the hell's going to happen.
It was quite a microcosm. As you said, Mike, you don't really know how to feel, and I think that's fair because this game was quite a microcosm of everything the Bills have been this season, where the floor is just lower than we're used to in years past, and just this team hurts themselves in so many different ways, especially defensively. And that first half was just abysmal defensively. Like Joe Burrow was just having, specifically getting the third down and not being able to get off the field because they're stretching it out, and Burrow then on third down is just deciphering everything they're doing, making it work against them. And their defense had no real pressure at all today. They manufactured it a little bit later on with some blitzes, but Burrow also picked apart some of those blitzes. But the first half just completely eviscerating them. You see some of the struggle. I mean, offensively, honestly, I wasn't, besides their third down inefficiency, they were converting on 4th down, so just extending it a little longer. I didn't have a ton of problems with the offense in the first half, besides Ty Johnson falling on a surefire touchdown, slipping in the snow, that making it a 10-point game instead of what could have been, instead of being a 4-point swing there. But other than that, the offense comes back on, like we said, putting the ball in Allen's hands, having the ability to kind of just manufacture this higher variance offense and giving him the weapon, giving him the time and putting him in no huddle a little bit more, utilizing the tight ends. The Dawson Knox resurgence is, I mean, what a time to have it. And like you said, McCarthy, we knew that this team, the Bengals, were susceptible against tight ends, but having Dawson Knox be able to take advantage of it, I don't think any of us would have banked on that, even knowing that fact going into the day, but he really showed out. Kincaid getting a touchdown and having a couple nice big plays down the field. He didn't look like, honestly, they didn't use him. I'm interested to see what the snap counts are. Didn't seem like he was out on the field a ton, but when he was out there, he looked like he was moving pretty well. It didn't look like he was hampered too much by those injuries. And you just utilizing what this team does, the ceiling, that's why it's the microcosm of the season, because the ceiling of this team, when Allen is playing like that, and the threat of the run game, even though James Cook does have his issues with fumbling in the recent weeks and everything else there, they're just so dynamic when Allen is playing at this level, and when he looks that confident out there, that they are going to be impossible to stop. And yes, it is annoying that some of these games we have to rely on Josh Allen being Superman to even stay in these games and have a chance, but he can do it, and he can do it. He can do it often, and that's why they're never out of these games. And that's how you have a chance in the fourth quarter where you put up. And shout out to, Christian Benford too, who does. All he does is score touchdowns now, getting back-to-back after he never in his career scores one last week, scores one this week, but winning the turnover battle in this game. I mean, it was the stat going into the fourth quarter. It's like, oh yeah, they're 1-4 when they lose the turnover battle. And Cook's turnover was not just any old turnover on any part of the field. It's a turnover in the end zone, a huge shift that could kill a lot of teams. And that's where the Bills, that's the thing for me, Alex and Mike, that I've been harping on it most, why I still trust this team, especially when it comes to the playoffs, is because it's a team that's been through these battles. They've seen all these things happen, and to have the mental toughness in the fourth quarter to try to go out and get stops, to go make the plays they need to offensively, that turnover would kill a lot of teams in this game, where it's just like, man, we're down here. Now it's 28-18 with 8 minutes left, and teams would roll over. And this Bills team does not do that. They battle back here in the fourth quarter, and they're just a couple more of their own mistakes where they could have been in a better spot in this game too, with like just a couple breaks that didn't go their way. So it's a conundrum because you saw some terrible things from this team, Alex, in this game, but also you see them get to peaks, especially offensively, that a lot of other teams can't. Even with the limited personnel they have in the wide receiver position, they still are able to make it happen offensively.
Yeah. Kincaid, you're talking about, I don't know the exact snap count, but he was 4 for 41 and a touchdown. I mean, that's solid, especially if Knox had 6 for 93 and then an almost touchdown right at the end of the game, but he, comes up bobbling it. But I mean, that's the thing. If I don't give a shit if it's wide receivers getting touchdowns or they're getting yards. I just care about who's getting points, and it doesn't matter who it is. If they're finding it, they're finding it. That's all that matters at the end of the day. And he's got 2 touchdowns to tight ends today, and then Shakir on an arm arrogant throw by Josh just to rifle it in Shakir on that play. If that's what they got to do, that's what they got to do. They're finding ways to win, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. It doesn't have to be the prettiest win, and this one wasn't, obviously. Like you said, Jake, especially in the first half for the defense, the Bengals were 7 of 7 on third down conversions until that last drive, and part of them, like you said, where Joe just aired it out and threw it over T. Higgins' head. Where honestly, if he rifles that in there, that's another completion on 3rd and 15, I think that was after the Benford sack. So you let the Bengals shoot themselves in the foot a little bit. Helps bail out the Bills. Obviously, the 2 interceptions, that's the biggest swing possible in this game that could happen. And they capitalized on it too. Obviously, Benford capitalized on his own with the pick 6, but the Bills taking up time off the clock and then going to score, coming out of the penalty on that too. They get that holding call on the first play after Epinez's pick, and then to pick up 25 yards with Knox, and then to go and score and coming down to 4th and goal. I mean, that's what you got to do. They came out, like you said, Jake. They came into out of the frying pan into the fire, and they were still able to come out of it. So even though it's the Bengals are not, their record doesn't show they're a very good team, but it's still an impressive win, and they got a monkey off their back that they hadn't been able to through the last couple seasons.
This whole, like I said, this Bills season has been up and down game-wise. It's been up and down within the games too, because they showed a graphic earlier in the game. Bills' point differential in the first half this season was -12, and that ranks 19th in the league. In the second half, they're +80, and that's the first overall. And this game sort of bore that out even more so. They were down, 21-11 at the halftime, and then they outscored the Bengals 28-13 in the second half. So I guess that we should be grateful for halftime adjustments, but maybe we should be making those adjustments in the first quarter rather than the third.
Yeah. I would say so. I mean, what was the exact scoring breakdown in the? I think it was 7-3 the first quarter. They were down, and then it was 14-8. That's the second quarter breakdown. Yeah. So I guess there is a slight improvement there, but not really for the offense, I suppose, but not really for the defense. But
and of course, there's a couple of easy coulda, shoulda, wouldas on the running backs here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, easily enough. If like you said, if Ty Johnson doesn't fall on that run, then it's realistically 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. And then Cook's fumble, that doesn't come until the third quarter, but I don't know. Ty Johnson, and then I thought right when it happened too that was a fumble because it didn't seem like he was touched, but then I guess with the rules of it that the ball is an extension of the runner. So as soon as that Bengal player touched the ball, he was down. I was like, that's a good bailout, I guess, for the Bills because it definitely looked like he just fell, not contact, and then just got punched out right away. But
yeah, there's so much
there was reports once after that Cook fumble and especially the Bengals went down and got a touchdown. There were reports, I think, from Jay Scursey at least, that people were leaving the stands early in the fourth quarter. Did you guys get any text to that effect as far as hey, people are starting to leave after that?
No text, but I saw I saw a couple other tweets, same thing as you. I didn't see Jay's, but I did see people talking about fans heading for the exits, especially after the touchdown there for the Bengals.
Well, hey, if we want answers to that, we have got a guy on the scene. Bunt is in. Let's get him into the room here.
Michael Bunt. You're supposed to be Mike. We have Mike and Michael, and you're messing up the rhythm here, Bunty.
I'm out of sorts because I didn't expect all of the craziness that happened at the end of this game. So I forgot my name. I didn't know who I was supposed to be rooting for. I had my Burrow jersey and my Bills jersey all ready in case who won the game. But that was insane, man. Guys, that was crazy. I'll go into analysis first, but I just my mind is blown how insane that fourth quarter was. Like, never in a million years did I think it was going to play out that way at the end.
All right, so
No,
before we get your immediate analysis, we gotta hear what you were seeing from the fans after the Cook fumble, and I think the Bengals went down and scored a touchdown after that. How many people were either leaving or contemplating leaving?
I don't think many people left from my perspective. Most of my section remained. I will say after the Cook fumble and the Bengals touchdown to make it a 10-point game, I did say it's time to fire McDermott and Bean, and a bunch of other fans around me were like yes, got to do it, got to move on. But yeah, the fans stayed. I didn't really see too many people leave. I feel like the vibes were that we were going to lose at that point, but yeah, I thought for the most part it was still pretty crazy and rowdy throughout the rest of the game.
What now? Let's get into some of your analysis, Mike. We were talking about it. This, as you said, a crazy, ridiculous football game, and what we were talking about was how it kind of just has been the story of this Buffalo Bills team all wrapped into one game, the highs and the lows of it all. So, what are your biggest takeaways and your reactions after the final buzzer there?
Yeah, so I'll start with the defense and then go to – actually, no, I'll start with Josh Allen, then I'll go to the defense afterwards. Josh Allen was super bad in this game. He literally carried this team on his back and propelled them to a victory. They had 39 points, and they literally left 11 points on the board with Ty Johnson slipping the one time and James Cook fumbling into the end zone. This could have been a 50-point game, and it was all Josh Allen. This wasn't a game where the Bills were killing it on the ground. Like, they were good on the ground, but he just kept making play after play after play. And the 3rd and 15, to be in that situation and make something out of it. Like, you knew they weren't going to pass for a first down there. Like, and that would have been risky with an incompletion with the clock. The 40-plus yard touchdown run, the going for it on 4th and goal. Like, this was a game where they had the ultimate amount of faith in Josh, and he carried them. Got to give a lot of kudos to Dawson Knox. He's dealt with a lot of shit from people over the last couple of years and stepped up big time today with his opportunities. Going beyond that, another Josh Allen play, even the play to Khalil Shakir, like, that was insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. And then I want to talk a little bit about the defense. Obviously, pretty rough day overall, if we're being honest. The first half was pretty atrocious for the most part, but I have to give them credit. They got to stop at the end of the first half, which kept it a 2-score game when that really could have helped Cincinnati pull away. And then fourth quarter, even third quarter, they got to one stop. And then fourth quarter, you think the game is likely about to be wrapped up and them going on a drive, probably kill the clock, maybe score, make a double-digit game again. And Christian Benford, the last 2 weeks, his 2 best games of the season. And the pick six changes everything. Then A.J. Epineza getting an interception. It's one of those things where it's like, I can almost live with the defense being bad if they're going to have high variance where they're going to make a play or two like that. Where I can't live with it is when they don't generate those plays. Like, be bad and generate good plays, or be good and be consistent. Like, that's my thought. But this is huge. And I don't want to go on and on because I didn't watch all the 1 o'clock games. You pair this with that Ravens loss, which I told you was possible, Jake. I did tell you was possible.
You did. You were
We
on.
are now, and then Daniel Jones now potentially out for the rest of the season. You are now looking at the likely 1, 2, 3, 4 as being 1, 2, some order of New England and Denver, 3 likely being Jacksonville, 4 likely being Pittsburgh, and the Bills being 5. Are you kidding me right now?
Actually, as you say that, I mentioned the Chargers are playing in Monday night, and they have an 8-4 record, but the Bills. Oh, actually, no. I thought there was a tiebreaker involved in there somewhere. They're above the Chargers as it is right now with a half-game lead. If the Chargers win on Monday night, then they would go back into the 5th spot. Go ahead.
Think about this, Partham. If the Chiefs lose to the Texans tonight, you are talking about a scenario where you're going to have no Burrow, no Mahomes. If the Ravens lose to the Packers or another game here to the Bengals. No Jackson. Like, honestly, like, I know going on the road 3 times in the playoffs is a tough challenge. But if you're talking about going Pittsburgh, New England / Denver / Jacksonville to get to a Super Bowl, the Bills are going to be favored in every single one of those games. Like,
We'll see what happens next week against the Patriots, but possibly.
Well, I mean, maybe not New England. Like, I still think New England stuff, but like, here's the other thing. Who's to say the Chargers make the playoffs? Say the Texans make the playoffs. One of those teams maybe ends up being the 5 or the 6 or the 7 seed. Maybe the Bills get the 5, and one of those teams is the 6 and the 7. I don't think it's beyond Houston or LA Chargers to go on the road to Denver or Jacksonville and pull off a wild card upset and then go into New England and beat them. Like, if the Houston Texans were to play the New England Patriots right now, straight up, who's the better team? I'm going to say Houston. I don't think the Patriots could score on Houston. So, like, I've always said a run to the Super Bowl, unless you're like a team like Kansas City and you're just unbelievably good, you need luck. And while the Bills might have hurt themselves in the regular season this year, they are starting to generate their own luck. I'll say one other quick thing. If the Bills beat the Patriots next week, let's not just hand the division to New England with how things are shaping up, with them having to play the Ravens, and Miami is playing some of their best football of the season. If the Ravens play New England, they get a win. You get a win against New England. That Miami game could potentially decide the AFC East. So it's not likely. It's not likely at all. But it's a slimmer higher than what we would have thought going into this week and going into the last few weeks.
I mean, I agree. I think the division. It's
Well, and also just the fact that if you beat New England,
no, you're good. I've never been out that they can't win the division.
and if you, I think that's fair. And also, if you beat New England, like, the pressure goes on to them at the end of the year to deliver and late in the season, which is just the biggest thing that I've had about New England is that they just haven't proven that they can win in those gotta have it games. And now next week, it is a gotta have it game for New England. You don't want the Bills breathing down your neck at the last couple weeks, like you said, Bunt, with those games coming up. If you're the Patriots, to put them in that kind of situation, they have to be playing their best ball. And now, go ahead.
And think about this. I'm sorry. I have a lag. I did not mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
You beat New England. Then you have the Browns. New England loses to you. Then they have the Ravens. You are literally talking, you beat the Patriots. You are 2 weeks away from potentially being tied for the division. And I know it's not likely that the Patriots will lose to the Dolphins. But the way Miami is playing right now, is it really out of the picture?
No,
as I'm looking at the standings and the records, New England currently 3-0 in the division, Buffalo 2-2. If we beat the Patriots, that would be 3-1 for them and 3-2 for us. I think that New England would have to lose to at least one of the divisional opponents that they have, and it's likely not to be the Jets.
That's where the Miami comes into play. So I don't know the common opponents, but I believe if New England loses to Miami and then you go down to common opponents, the Bills, I think, would get the common opponents tiebreaker. I would have to double check that, but I think that's why it shows that the Bills are still alive. Either way, if in a scenario where, say the Bills win the common opponents tiebreaker, you beat New England, you win out, and then they lose to Miami, you can win the division. The other scenario, though, which is probably more realistic because you don't want to assume the Bills can win out, is say New England loses to the Bills, then they lose to the Ravens, and the Bills lose to the Eagles. You're still in a scenario there where New England loses to Miami and the Bills at least take care of business against the Browns and the Jets. We're at 12-5. They could still, I think, technically maybe have a chance depending on the common opponent's tiebreaker. But I honestly haven't gone that far with the math just because it's been so unlikely. And I still don't want to say it's even a high percent. Like it's probably like a 15% chance, 10% chance. But It's not impossible.
Well, we can do all the math we want. If they don't beat New England next week, then it's a moot point.
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the fact right now, at least, and I don't know, I'm guessing this is updated. Yeah, it has the Bills record updated. It's a 10% chance to win the division for the Athletics. So I mean, it's still, I think that was about the same coming into this game, which means that as we're talking about here, a lot hinges on with this New England and Buffalo game coming up this week. I don't know what the chances would change to. I'll go through all the machinations later on tonight and see what it is. Right now, Vegas there's a couple different books actually here switching over. All right. Well, so there's a couple that have New England at -1 and a couple that have the Bills at -1. So it was -1.5 before the game for New England. So I'm guessing by the end of the night, the Bills will be a small favorite in that game next week in New England, regardless, which is that makes sense to me with the.
I'd rather be the underdog. Make me the underdog in that game. That's what I want.
No matter what the Patriots still feel like, I'm sure the Patriots fans are feeling good about everything like that, but they want it, like, it's going to be a game where the narrative out of it is the Patriots have to do this again to prove that they're real. Like, if the Patriots lose this game, no one's going to trust them, even if they won out the rest of the year. If the Bills are in the playoff field in New England and they split with Buffalo in this season and they have to see them in the playoffs, people are going to count on the experience of the Buffalo Bills. And that's what we were talking about a little bit too. But is that a game like this, part of the reason that the Bills are able to do this and come back today is because they've seen this, they've been in so many of these situations, and they just have such incredible belief in their quarterback, in just plugging away, staying in games. And that's what's going to bode well for them for the end of the season and in this playoff field, is the experience that this group has together. We've talked about the scars and how those can be bad things, but they can also be good things because it's a lot of a playoff experience, a lot of big game experience that they can lean on. And they leaned on that today to get back into this game. So it's a really interesting picture for them now in this playoff spot. Alex, I know you have to go in a minute. Do you have any final thoughts on this?
No, I mean, if you're talking about the experience, I just remember historically just watching Drake May shit the bed in every big game he played in at UNC. So if it comes down to that's the same Drake May that's in the NFL, I wouldn't be surprised if his first playoff game he throws like 3 interceptions and has like under 200 yards passing, honestly. Because
next week is
played at UNC, he was a fucking duck. So
next week is the biggest game.
Yeah.
Next week's the biggest game of his career. Like the pressure is now firmly on Drake May going into this game next week because he's the one who is going to have to deliver. If the reason New England won that game, the earlier game of the season, is because Drake May made some amazing plays and the Bills turned the ball over turned the ball over too many times, and that was the biggest difference in that game. So if the Bills 1-4 when they lose all 4 of their losses, when they lose the turnover battle, they end up winning the turnover battle today. And it's obviously a vital part to why they can come back into this game. That's the biggest difference to me looking ahead in that game is, can Drake May, this is the firm pressure is all on New England, in my opinion, even though that they're in the driver's seat, just because they've never been in this situation. They're going to be the home team and the Bills are coming in house money. Like, hey, like, we know we're in a good spot for the playoffs, but how far can we take this coming off a big win? It's going to be really interesting to see how they respond in that moment.
Similarly to how yesterday was, Indiana, Ohio State was for the Heisman, whatever quarterback came out with the win or played better. Is next week, is that going to be for the MVP? It's how much does Josh jump up in these conversations? Because Drake May is the favorite right now. Should he be the favorite? Probably not, just because they have the best record in the NFL. But if they come in and Josh plays out of his mind like he did again today, then how does that conversation go?
It's a great point.
Just saying.
I mean, Josh Allen, if we're being real, is the most valuable player. He won't win the award, but he is the most valuable player to any team in the NFL.
The third season with 20 passing and 10 rushing, he's the only quarterback ever to do that. Which not a surprise that he's always just setting these only quarterback ever records.
Only quarterback ever.
Put that on his only quarterback ever mantle.
Yeah, exactly. Extended his own record again for rushing touchdowns up to 77 now. So it's absurd. But I really think that's got to be part of it. Is like that'll be a lesser like important part of like the stakes of that game because obviously the division is still in play. But I think that's gonna be part of the conversation too. And that's got to be like Drake May like needs to like cement himself as a quarterback. Like you said, Jake, this is the biggest game of his career, and see what he can cement himself as if he's like a true blue quarterback.
Right now, according to Polymarket, Matthew Stafford, the leader in the clubhouse, at 54%. Drake May still at 42%, but Josh Allen moved up to third place with 10% there. And you would have to imagine, like you said, if the Bills do win and Allen has a great performance next week, that those odds could switch around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's
I didn't know
big
Stafford
jump.
was still a favorite. Good for Stafford that he's still the favorite.
It's really down to those three because fourth place is Jordan Love on Polymarket, and there's no way Jordan Love is going to be the MVP of the NFL. So it really is a 3-horse race with Allen being the dark horse in there a little bit more right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how that race breaks out. Partham, are you? I want to know how you're. Like, we're sitting here, we've digested this a little bit. The highs and lows of everything. Bills fans could take this. They can take this game and go any which way they want, honestly. Like, you got to win, and that's the most important thing. But all the signs are there. If you want to complain about the Bills and say same old issues are cropping up, you can do that. If you want to be happy about it and feel good about it, you can do that. There's Catherine. How are you doing, Catherine? Great shout out here. Shout out Photon Catherine.
Say hi.
Follow her. Hello. Parthy, where are you going to be feeling? What do you think? Are you more excited about the possibilities, or are you still just concerned with the warts that we saw today?
My emotions are dead inside. They've been dead for 2 years. I'm like, get us to the playoffs. Get us in the fourth quarter against Burrow or Mahomes. Get us a 2-touchdown lead with one drive remaining, and then I might get emotional. But until then, all bets are off. All possibilities are on the table. Cook could go out there and fumble twice in the end zone next week, and Allen could throw 2 pick-sixes for all we know, or they could score 0 in the first half and then 40 in the second half and win it. So I'm just wait and see.
I think that's fair. Bunt, how about you?
What was the original question again?
With everything that happened today, you could go any which way. You could complain about the warts and still say that you're worried about those things, but the highs are so high and the possibilities are endless with what this team can show too. So where do you think you're going to fall?
So where I'm at is, I don't know exactly where I'm at. What I will say is, I think if this team gets it going, this is possibly their best chance to win a Super Bowl. And it's also their best chance of losing in the first round. And I don't think there's an in-between right now with this squad. If they find a way to get things going and play their best football, and they get the combo quarterbacks missing the playoffs that I just talked about earlier, this team at its best is the best team in the AFC. When they are at the worst, they could be the 7th best team in the AFC. So what I will say is this. The road factor makes me think that they're not going to get it done in the playoffs this year and win 3 in a row. But if I was a betting person, I think the Bills I would have a higher confidence level than the Bills than any other team in the AFC at the current moment. So in a way, I'm majorly hedging. AJ is correct when he talks about me hedging. I'll say this. If you're better, as Ryan Russillo said, the Bills have to be the team that you get behind because they had the highest upside of any team. It's not that New England can't be great, but we just haven't seen them do it against anybody that is relevant. It's not that Denver can't be great, but they can't score points. So I don't know. Give me a month. I might have a better answer for you.
Oh, so when the season's over, but will have an
No. I'll say this. I feel more positive than negative about this team overall. And there's situational moments that are frustrating with this group. The defense is obviously a clusterfuck at times. But, sorry for swearing. But Josh Allen's a freak. And I think as long as you have Josh Allen, you go into every game against Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix, Daniel Jones, C.J. Stroud, any of them, and you say we bring it, we win the game.
No more Daniel
Yeah,
Jones.
I mean, I'm sorry. Sorry, Daniel Jones. Colts aren't even going to make the playoffs now.
Yeah, probably.
But like, I just look at it as like, if the Bills bring it any given week, they will win the game. It's, can they bring it on the road 3 weeks in a row? We saw Tom Brady do it with the Bucks and win a Super Bowl. We saw Pat Mahomes go on the road back-to-back weeks against the Bills and the Ravens and win a Super Bowl. Why can't Josh Allen do it against Pittsburgh, New England, and Jacksonville, or whoever it ends up being?
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. One fun stat here from this game here. The next gen stats, Christian Benford's 63-yard pick six increased the Bills' win probably by 60 percentage points in one play. It was the single biggest win probability swing on a play outside of the last 2 minutes since they've been tracking next gen stats. So talk about a game-changing play by Christian Benford. And just, you mentioned him, he's playing the best football of the year when it matters the most. Makes the biggest play, makes a huge play last week, returning a touchdown, getting his first touchdown, getting this pick in this game to make that play on Burrow, even if it slipped out of Burrow's hands, to have the wherewithal. He has the sack in the game too. Burrow had no idea he was coming on that sack. Burrow, usually a guy who was deciphering everything that the Bills were setting at him when they were blitzing. I mean, I've never seen Joe Burrow look like just had no awareness that a guy was coming on him.
It looked like he was in like slow motion too because of the snow. So I feel like Benford wasn't at full speed, and it was just like, man, he's gonna start running or something, right? Like he's gonna figure out that there's pressure coming, but no, just yeah. No,
yeah, no,
awesome next week for Benford, coming up big when they need him to.
As we're talking here, AFC champion odds by Polymarket, 21% New England, 21% Denver, 19% Buffalo, and in fourth place, the only other team in double digits, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're still just hanging on. No one's giving up on that boat. The market's not giving up on that boat. But Super Bowl winner, as it's been all year, the Bills are the favorite in the AFC to win the Super Bowl. The Rams are leading the way, 14%. The Seahawks at 9%, they're at 10%, and then Buffalo tied with Philly at 9% for third place there. So the markets are agreeing that they believe in this Bills team to potentially make a run to the Super Bowl. But going through the AFC on the road with New England and Denver both getting potentially still alive for home field, that's a tough ask too, because those teams playing at home is a different story. This is the craziest playoff picture I've seen in a long time in the AFC, and it just feels like experience is going to make a big deal, and that's why you got to feel good about the Buffalo Bills. We're going to wrap up here in a couple minutes. Parthy, let's go around the horn. Parthy, Mo, Bunt. What are your final thoughts on this game and looking a little bit ahead to the New England game next week? The biggest. I mean, who would have thought that this would be the game of the year going into it when we were talking about it? But here we are. It's going to be one of the biggest games of the year just in the NFL alone.
It feels like a bit of a make or break season for this coach and GM administration, and it's certainly a make or break game for the playoff positioning for this season next week. So I wouldn't say it's all on the line, but a lot is on the line next week.
I don't care how you do it, just win. I don't care if you got 3 turnovers and you win by a field goal, you win by a safety. I don't really give a shit. Just win.
What I will say, I'll try to be quick, Jake, because I know you got to be out in 2 minutes, is the same thing that your brother just said. Just finding a way to win games. This Bills team, despite sometimes 9-4 doesn't feel good, but they find a way to win these craziest games. Like this one today, the game against Baltimore earlier in the year. Just find a way to keep winning and then see where things fall. I know we talked about the New England game. I don't think it's going to be a season-defining game either way, because if New England holds on to win the division, I don't think we're looking back at that game and saying, well, the Bills won, but like that gave them confidence. I think it's an important game, but I don't want to put the whole season on it. What I will say is this. If somehow the Patriots choke the AFC East away and the Bills end up getting a 2 seed or a 1 seed, which is not likely, very, very unlikely, watch those Super Bowl and AFC odds drastically change. If the Bills get the AFC East, their AFC odds are going to go up over 40%. They will be an overwhelming favorite to win the conference. When you are at the same odds as a team, as the two teams fighting for the 1 seed, and you're the projected 5 seed, what Vegas is saying is you are clearly the best team in the conference. We just know you have a difficult path. The moment that path gets easier, watch those odds fly.
Absolutely. And that's why, hey, that's what I just keep coming back to is if the Bills do win that game next week, it's all of a sudden it's playoff. It's a lot of pressure on that New England team going forward, a young team who's never been there to go beat, like you said, a desperate Ravens team, a surging Dolphins team who's still, whether it's likely or not, still battling for their playoff hopes, right? Like it's a tough ask for a team. It's one thing to get the hot start. It's another thing to finish strong and finish out. And I think that's where you gotta we look at this game, get this win, and then the race is on for the end of the year, where all the pressure flips to that New England team every week onto that, and that's what you want to put them in that position to. It's not, like you said, not a game-defining season if they lose next week. It's not, or if they win next week, one or the other. It won't be, it's not winning in or anything like that, like it was a couple years ago in that New England game where the division lead was directly on the line and everything else. But it's really important to see what this New England team is really made of, and see what the possibilities are for the Buffalo Bills with 4 games left in the season. But Huge win, Mike. I'm sure it was an incredible fourth quarter and experience at the stadium, a roller coaster of emotions there. So I hope you had a good time there. Thank you, Mike Partham and Alex, for joining along here on the post-game show. Shout out to our sponsor, Picasso's Pizza. Get your Picasso's Pizza in Western New York and anywhere nationwide at picassospizza.net. We'll be back on Tuesday night to break it all down with the crew, talking about this Bengals win, this crazy game. I'm sure that will not be. I'm sure we'll have some disagreements. The group chat was popping off all game today, so I'm sure we're all going to have some emotions about how this season are going the rest of the way. And it's a big week. It's Patriots week going into Gillette. So thank you all for tuning in. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Let's go Bills.